Thanks for pressing playing another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. I'm gonna jump right into it with some bite down boxing talk. I was tempted to speak on yesterday's phenomenal win by the University of Michigan against the highly vaunted offense of the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm not even gonna go into that, but this upset right here of Greek Australian George Ferocious Kambosos Jr. is kind of similar to what I saw up in Ann Arbor yesterday with Michigan getting the victory over Ohio State. And, it's not a whole lot to say here. I did have some concerns coming into this fight for Teofimo Lopez Jr., unified lightweight champion. Um how long had this young fighter been in camp? You know, this fight was pushed back several times. We know about the purse bid situation, the fact that he's a top ranked fighter and had this phenomenal victory, this star making performance in taking out former unified lightweight champion Vasily Lomachenko, and then things getting pretty derailed for the youngster, 24 years old. Um, this is you. We can sit around in boxing and the organizers, the promoters, and whatnot. They can try to marinate these fights. They can refuse to work together. They can engage in all of the business moves and the maneuvering and all of that stuff. And I just sit back and laugh because I know some people get frustrated. I know this hurts the popularity and the appeal of boxing because people are very impatient. But I just sit back and laugh at this stuff, man, because boxing and fighting finds a way of sorting it all out. you know, we got a guy in who's fighting a couple of weeks in Gervonta Davis. Who is being steered in a certain direction, kind of oblivious to all the young talent out here. And there's no impetus, there's no catalyst, there's no incentive, no motivation or priority to get him in some of these fights. And here we see young Lopez having to make this mandatory defense after taking down Vasily Lomachenko. And like I said, the dude fought what last October of 2012 or something, and now he's coming back in November 2012. Damn, 2020. It was a 12-round fight. But now he comes back a year plus later. The location, maybe the location didn't move around, but it took us a while to get here. I started looking at some of the training videos. Is he doing too much in camp? Has he been in camp too long? Him and his dad making the dancing videos and so on and so forth. And Kambosos was just, I'll be there on fight night. I'll be there on fight night. Get into the fight. The opening and the article write up, the fight write up is out there on www.bitedownboxing.com. I didn't get a chance to get it up last night because of some technical stuff with the website, but it's out there now. Not the knock. Well, Lopez Jr. comes out swinging for the fences, just completely disrespecting or disregarding, the threat of Kambosos Jr. Just walking to the man, just taking big cuts. And I just think it just messed up him ever establishing any kind of rhythm. He doesn't always, come forward, walk guys down. A lot of times he's a very calculated counterpuncher. We thought he had, we've recognized him as having exceptional power in both hands. Got the big stoppage of Richard Comey, former IBF champion. That's how he became world champion. And then, he did enough to control with his power and size advantage over Vasily Lomachenko, movement, smart boxing. He did enough to control the majority of those rounds and win that fight. Here tonight, just completely, didn't have any or didn't show any semblance of any kind of, long term fight plan. It all just seemed to be he chased the guy all night and took a lot of big shots and took and attempted to land a lot of big shots. I thought Kambosos Jr. He never shrunk in the moment. He never got frustrated. He never got small. He never panicked in any sort of fashion. Even though these big shots were coming, he made Lopez miss a lot of that. That's a lot of energy being exerted. It's very frustrating when you did land a good shot. The guy was still there, except for in the 10th round when he was able to drop him, had him caught him underneath or behind that ear. When Kambosos got out of position a little bit, got out off balance a little bit, but just excellent boxing from Kambosos Jr. all night long. That was another thing that and I didn't do a preview video, but that was another thing that I thought was a little concerning was all the work that Kambosos Jr. did as a major sparring partner for Manny Pacquiao, the retired Manny Pacquiao. And I heard about Kambosos Jr. maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and there was a little bit of buzz around him. I'll be honest, his performance against Lee Selby had me not giving him, not really anticipating much from him other than a fight, a boxing match. But from what I saw against Lee Selby, just was kind of a very pedestrian effort. Nothing jumped off the screen at me. Nothing, no explosion, no dog, no hunger, no fire. I just was like, this is it. But again, with him boxing all night long, being kind of stubborn, being a little pesky, turning and rolling with all of the shots coming from Lopez, getting on the back foot a little bit, using his anticipation, landing a lot of good shots inside, just really flustered Lopez. Another thing that worked against Lopez was not a lot of constructive guidance and coaching adjustments. Not a lot of that happening over the course of the fight. Not even being reined in early on when they saw that they made, failing to plan, had them behind the 8 ball early. And not too many fighters can kind of regroup on the fly and implement a new approach to the fight. And he just, he fought impatient all night long, continuing to think that, the big opening was coming. I can get this guy out of here. I don't have to respect his power, even though he got knocked down in the first round. It was somewhat of a flash knockdown. But just like Kambosos moved well, he anticipated well, rolled with the shots, slipped some shots, made him miss, made him pay a little bit, used the jab all night long, hooked off of that jab, went to the body. Just an all-around solid boxing performance. And then when he looked bad there and when things looked shaky in the 10th, he weathered it, and his poker face was pretty decent. And again, it was that inability for who we've known to be a pretty good finisher, but just going too fast, just speeding, and not being patient enough to really find the weaknesses and the openings on a hurt fighter and try to either score another knockdown or possibly get him out of there. And then shout out to Kambosos Jr. for coming back in the championship rounds in the 11th and 12th and really like returning to what we saw earlier in the fight. Just controlling, the space, controlling the range, staying alert defensively or responsible defensively, landing some good shots. Uh, just completely just boxed circles around Lopez all night long. I don't know if the Gamache cat, I can't think of his first name, but Gamache I think had been in the corner once or twice I think for the Lopez team. And now, seeing what Gamache has done with Otto Valine, up at heavyweight, maybe Gamache's presence in the Lopez corner was was crucial in terms of game plan and boxing fundamentals. But Lopez Senior, or the father, he was basically a fan all night. He basically was just a dude sitting over there with credentials who was able to talk in between the rounds, but get this MFR out of here, get rid of this kid, or he's tired, he ain't got nothing else for you. Like, tell the man something that's useful. He didn't really show up whatsoever. He looked more like a hype man throughout the night. And even in training, in the training camp videos. When you got somebody that's showing you a lot, the dancing and all of that stuff, and it's a stark contrast to what we saw just last week from Kenny Porter and steering his son. But this is definitely not one of the pros in terms of pros and cons for a father being a chief second. And he said this going in, he said some similar stuff going into Vasily Lomachenko. My son is this, my son is that, my son can do that, my son is going to shock the world. He was never giving us a lot of detail on how it was going to happen. He basically was like, I just roll the ball out there and watch him kill. I watch him kill the competition. But here tonight, he didn't settle his son at all, rein him back in. Talk about maybe having some small victories to lead to some big moments for him. He just was like, get it done, get this MF out of here, get it done. And his son was clearly flustered, a lot of the fight. So it was a good fight. The whole post fight situation. I don't you know we I don't know how we sit here now and talk about what the kid is or isn't, or he's a idiot, he's a piece of shit, he's this, or he's spoiled, or whatever. Nowadays, we allow people that we like to do and to conduct themselves and behave however they want to behave. And most of us never say anything about the people that we like. So how do we sit here now just because he had this ugly moment and now we want to talk about the young kid? He just got his ass beat for 12 rounds. He got embarrassed, humiliated. A lot of future opportunity for him went down the drain, and we expect him to be at his best. I respect the rawness and the authenticity. If he is a sore loser, then so be it. Now you know what he is or whatever. All the gentleman stuff and all the selling of the Lomachenko fight, when he did all of the media for the month before that fight, and he said all the right stuff. And remember, he was talking about, I wrote an article on it, that he talked about instead of really considering a fight with Devin Haney, he said he was talking about Devin Haney didn't know how to speak well. He can't speak well. He doesn't deserve a fight with me. He needs to work on how he speaks, how he talks. The hell does that have to do with anything? But yeah, the shoe was on the other foot tonight. The rabbit had the gun. He didn't like it. He came out and said that it was 10-2 in his opinion. I disagree with that. I think everybody disagrees with that. And, he's at home. He's in New York City and got embarrassed. Like I said, you sitting here, this dude takes 3 or 4 belts off of you or whatever, WBC belt that he had with him. All of that got transferred to the opposing corner. The dude lost his mind. I'm not going to sit here. He tried to come back at the end of it and clean it up a little bit and say that he apologized. he's got a tweet out there, God, this and everybody against me, no weapon form, all that type of stuff. I'm not gonna hold that against the kid. That's a bad loss. I think he should have beat Kambosos Jr., but he wasn't the better man on that night. He didn't have a better execution throughout the fight, and things got away from him. It happens. From what I understand, if you listen to Errol Spence Jr., there was no rematch clause in place. I do credit or tip my cap to Kambosos Jr. for not turning it into a adversarial situation in that moment. I think he called him delusional or something and kind of kept his cool. I mean, you already won. You won the fight. You holding the belts. You got a different world of opportunity for you. Today. Why sit here and get in a verbal altercation with this guy who is just, a little sour milk going on right now? So I thought that was cool. I thought it was good that Lopez Sr. stayed the hell out of the way. And I don't know right there. Maybe Chris Mannix should have shut things down and said, I'll get to you in just a second. Maybe it was some producer people in the ring for DAZN that should have intervened and kept that from happening. Maybe anything goes in boxing and they thought it was good. It was good video. It was good footage. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to hold it against the kid. He said this is why you got to do this is why you had to do everything in your power during the 36 minutes that you have to fight. And this is what I was saying last week with Bud Crawford. You got to do everything in the 36 minutes that you get, because after that 36th minute and the final bell, you can't correct nothing. You can't change anything. You can't add to history. You can't do nothing. So when the fight is there, you got to make it happen. And he failed to do it. And we move on. It's funny now, for Ryan Garcia to come out from the woodwork and talk about wanting to fight Kambosos in his return fight. Some people would probably like some shit like that. You got to get restarted totally. You're a non-factor right now, in my opinion. This fight between WBC champion Devin Haney and Joe Diaz Jr. next week could be, you can't overlook Diaz Jr. I know he hasn't been at lightweight a lot for a lot of fights and not a killer puncher or anything, but Devin Haney doesn't look unbeatable. A lot of skills, a lot of athleticism, a lot of Instagram activity, but we saw him get rocked in the last fight. We saw him not be able to get Gamboa out of there. So you get a young guy like Diaz Jr. with some stuff to lose. He's trying to go places with his career. I expect that to be a pretty good fight. And this puts some pressure on Haney where he could go in there and be impatient or overlook some things. I still don't know who the hell Haney's coach is, who his trainer is, what he is. It's a lot of questions about Devin Haney. So, this once era that was being discussed as the new Four Kings or the young Four Kings, boxing is not all that easy. It often doesn't go according to the plans or according to the script. It's, inactivity nowadays. Dudes not really living a disciplined life in between fights. The inability for big fights to get made. You go in here and face guys that you don't really want to fight, or that you don't think is going to be a career-defining matchup that you're looking for or that you need for your legacy. It's all kind of shit and pitfalls out here for some of these younger guys. And a lot of, these guys all being under 26, under 25. This ain't a seasoned, De La Hoya, a seasoned Pacquiao, a seasoned Mayweather. These guys don't really know how to be professionals. So they can show up on any given night and get the chair pulled from underneath them. It happens. So anyway, that's the Bite Down Boxing take on it. I thought it was a hell of a fight. Looking at some of the fight pictures that I put in the fight write-up video, and you can find them online wherever. it might have been a better fight than I thought it was watching it the first time, just because uh, you kind of kept expecting Lopez to do something to either get the stoppage. Because, like I said, Kambosos Jr. against Lee Selby, that fight was a stinker. It was a snoozer. So, yeah, I'm waiting for one thing to happen all night long. And then we did get some drama in the 10th. But Lopez Jr. wasn't able to sustain what he was able to get done in the 10th. Maybe I really didn't give Kambosos the credit in real time that I should. So I'm gonna check the fight out again. Excellent fight between Ogawa and Azili as well. He dropped Azili a couple of times, and it's a new dude to put on my radar. Zhili Zhang takes out Craig Lewis from the Motor City. Had never been stopped before. Kind of funny for the commentators to mention him being in the championship picture immediately after that performance. Getting one more fight, and he deserves a shot at the title. That's how bullshit boxing is right now. You can win one fight against a nobody, and some of these talking heads get out here and want you to face Tyson Fury or Errol Spence Jr. or Canelo. Anthony Durrell beats up knocks out Marcos Hernandez a few weeks ago, and there's talks of him facing Canelo. How? Based on what? So people, a pair of lips to say anything. Anyway, let me get on off of here, man. Please do me a favor and check me out over at www.bitedownboxing.com. Shout out to Michigan yesterday for stunning the world in college football with that 42-27 victory at home. Appreciate a couple of you guys that came in at the end here. Hit the like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel. Let me get on with the rest of my day. I hope your holiday weekend was phenomenal. Bite Down Boxing, don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. One.